Good evening, folks. Welcome to Monday Night Law here on Kirk's Law Corner. This is April 22nd, 2024. How's everybody doing out there? Got some beautiful weather here in Idaho. Nice and sunny, but it's a little chilly still outside, but we get 64, 62. Looks like a high of 64 today here. But the weather's changing. It's getting better. Still getting down to 30s at night, but that's not freezing, but it's getting close. Haven't had any rain or snow for a week, so that's a plus. I don't know about anybody else out there, but all right. Ooh. Oh. Something I wanted to bring up, but I'll have to pull that up. Oh. That was an email. You know, we talk about comment over here on Telegram. Criminal complaint overview, please. Watch the videos. I've already laid this out and explained it in detail. That's why I do the videos, so you can go back and rewatch it. But just a quick overview. A091 goes to the Federal District Attorney, Deputy Attorney General's office, the executive branch, not the judicial branch. That's what I said in the videos. I even show how to go look up your federal district building, your district having jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction. Okay. Yes, a treatise on arrest and false imprisonment. A very, 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 very good number one thing to read. That's on my website and the library tab. It's the number one thing to read. Okay. It even gives you the document templates for a summons and a complaint and a memorandum of law right in the treatise on arrest and false imprisonment. It's all right there. It's all laid out. You know, doing the statement of facts of who did what, where, and when. The short, clear, concise statements of facts. Nothing but the facts, ma'am. Just the facts. Of course, just the facts, ma'am. Nothing but the facts. And then definitely highly recommend watching the free educational series there on my YouTube channel. From start to finish. Don't hop skipping around. It's all done in a chronological order of things. So lots of people, I've gotten quite a bit of feedback on that educational series, and there's lots of people who have said that they've gained a lot of knowledge from watching those videos, taking notes, writing stuff down. And that's what it takes. Treatise on arrest and false imprisonment is 76 pages, 78 pages. But it is just packed full of great information. And the on the YouTube channel there for the if you go into the playlist, go to my channel and then go playlists. There's an educational series there, and 1 through 8, yes, but I've added three more videos in there. 2 of them on the laws of nature, from the Law of Nations, written by Emer D. Vattel, and then going over the report of the Commission on unalienable rights. So those are just really good, solid information, facts of law. Absolutely, yeah, it's packed full of information. So sometimes have to go over and over and over again. And I'm gonna pull this up here real quick because some people do not gather the truth about what's really going on, right? And yeah, here we go. We look at what I've gone over several years ago when this all stuff started coming out. Executive Order 13818, blocking the property of those involved in serious human rights abuse. December 20th, 2017. This is a worldwide executive order. In my mind, it is declaring World War III. It's going after bad governmental regimes, taking them down, taking out the bad actors, and instituting new governments, and then holding elections. And then here's the key part: doing treaties of peace. Now, I'll say this again, and I'll keep saying it. How do you do a treaty of peace if we're not at war? Can't do a treaty of peace if there's no war. So there has to be a war in order to have a treaty of peace. Scrimshaw, good to see you. Dazel Days, CC out there on Facebook. James, good to see you, brother. Brother Rob, I haven't seen you. Wonder where you at. Out having a hamburger again? Oh no, that's Wednesday nights. And, talking about the continuity of government. There's 2 federal directives for continuity of government. Given the fact they were going to be taking down the United States Inc., the corporation, and this is a military coup, right? Worldwide, no less. But the fact is this is a military operation. And I know a lot of people want to see evidence of all the things that are going on and people getting arrested and going to Gitmo and being executed and all that stuff in due time, is my understanding. You have the one website there, Real Raw News. Now, I'm very well aware of their disclaimer and how they've changed it. I don't know how many people are aware of that make comments about Real Raw. Oh, it's just satire. It's just satire. Okay. I'm going to reiterate this again. When I first found Real Raw News a few years ago now, their disclaimer said some or all of this may be true, but is to be considered as satire. I'm aware of at least 4 times that they have changed their disclaimer. Okay? So it doesn't matter. The fact is it's real, it's raw, and it's the news. It's not mainstream media. Now, in reading in some of the articles there, I can pick out the satire. The stuff that seems just a little too funny, right? But the gist of the each posting write up the facts of what's really going on. And I actually had posted a video that I had recorded right off of my own TV, watching Real America's Voice. It was down there on the ticker. That the DOJ was trying to stop Trump from doing any more executions. And I think at that time there was like 6 or 7, maybe it was 12 or 13 or something like that. They listed a certain number, right? And again, it's just logic and reason. How do you stop somebody from doing something if it isn't already happening? How do you stop Trump from doing more executions if the executions aren't happening? Come on, people. Wake up. But here's a nice little article. Got to give credit out here to Dave Cantera for finding this. This was sent to me by Dave Cantera here just the other day, the 18th. And this is from Newsweek. So let's take a peek at this. This is from May 17th of 2021. Okay, inside the military secret undercover army. This goes into talking about what else we got here. Close this down. Hate that crap. It just talks about the military and how it's working and what's going on. Okay, the largest undercover force of the world has ever known is the one created by the Pentagon over the past decade. Some 60,000 people now belong to this secret army, many working under masked identities and in low profile, all part of a broad program called Signature Reduction. The force, more than 10 times the size of the clandestine elements of the CIA, carries out domestic and foreign assignments, both in military uniforms and under civilian cover, in real life and online, sometimes hiding in private businesses and consulacies, some of them household name companies. Okay, and this doesn't include the U.S. Marshals. Now, for those of you who are not aware, some that may remember this, but January 20th there, when that all kind of went down in 2020, and the military was activated, they come in, put up 3 layers of fencing, and military took over, and oh gee, why were military service members basically brought in, sworn in as U.S. Marshals? First it was 20,000, then it came 40,000. Military service members sworn in as U.S. Marshals. Wait a minute. If they're already in the military, why would they need to be sworn in as U.S. Marshals? Hi, Jax. Good to see you. Oh, man. You know, all these little tiny pieces out there, folks. And it's just a matter of picking them up, which, I do a little bit of picking them up and trying to put some of them together. comment out here on Telegram. Well, I'm kind of live right now, so. But somebody did post the link to the YouTube channel there. But for any links to my social media stuff, that's on my website, kirkslawcorner.com. All the links to my social media is right there. In fact, I can pull that up real quick while I'm right here and show you. Right there. Facebook, Telegram, Patreon, YouTube, Rumble, and X. Which right now we're live in all 5 places. We're Facebook, Telegram, YouTube, Rumble, and X right now. We're live. And on my homepage here, right here, is a link to episode 1 of that. And then you can just click right here to watch on YouTube, which will take you over there, and you want to go to the playlist, blah, 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 blah. How that all works. Here's the library tab for all the books. There's the Treatise on Arrest and False Imprisonment, Charles Wiseman, and Charles Wiseman's Authority of Law. This lays out how real statutes are supposed to be made. Law of Nations, here's that report of the Commission on Unalienable Rights that's in the educational series. This is where I went over the laws of nature from the Law of Nations, written by Emer D. Vattel. Anyways, back to the story here. And laying this, and again, this is from May of 2021, guys. The unprecedented shift has placed an ever greater number of soldiers, civilians, and contractors working under false identities, partly as a natural result in the growth of secret special forces, but also as an intentional response to the challenges of traveling and operating in an increasingly transparent world. The explosion of Pentagon cyber warfare, moreover, has led to thousands of spies who carry out their day-to-day work in various made-up personas. Persons. The very type of nefarious operations the United States decries when Russian and Chinese spies do the same. Nonetheless, it's happened. And it goes further into, in depth and more of the other stuff that they go in through, and how they create basically social media accounts, and they create this identity to really protect these guys that are doing the heavy lifting worldwide. To degree of a cover to protect their true identities, right? And that takes a lot of work, especially in this day and age. So there's got to be some really good people working on that kind of stuff. Well, that's how big this thing really is. Especially just as biometrics and real ID are the enemies of clandestine work, so too is the digital exhaust of online life. So, I mean, they're going to one heck of an extent to protect these people who are doing the heavy lifting here for us. Worldwide. So people say they want some evidence. Well, here's some evidence. Somebody's, Newsweek here reported on it. They're telling us all about it. There's, lots of reading that can be done here. And I can put this link out there. At least I can kind of dump it in Telegram right now. Later I will have to put it out on everywhere else that's live. I could probably get it over here on Rumble right now because I can pull Rumble up. Let's see if this is going to be... Yeah. For those that want to take a look at that. Well, we'll see what happens, right, folks? I mean, it's just a matter of time. This stuff is happening, has been happening. You know, there was in 2018 there where the military, Trump ordered the military to start training for deep underground warfare. And this is where we get into all the tunnels and stuff worldwide. This is where we get into some of those weird, crazy earthquakes that we were having there in 2019, and some weird stuff going on all over. Weird flooding in D.C. there in the streets. I even put it down in the chat, or in the comment section over here on Rumble. So, you know, this stuff, it is happening. It's just a matter of, you know, paying attention and getting what information you can. But yeah, good read there if you want to continue reading all of everything that's in here. It's actually quite lengthy, so keeps going and going and going and going. So just to let people know, that's out there if you want to read that and into that research. Oh, I need to go over here. Yeah, there's another one there. Somebody just posted over here on Telegram, Cryptic Gamer, that another Newsweek article: U.S. Army spends $500 million training soldiers to fight underground. You know, there was a I can't remember if it was actually an executive order, but I believe it was just a memorandum. But yeah, that was stuff that I put out a long time ago when this stuff was coming out, when this stuff was unfolding. And one of the things I want to reiterate and re-mention in that the second federal directive for continuity of government, that there's a 7-year plan in there. Now, I haven't been able to narrow it down, the exact start date or end date of this 7-year plan, but my guess is Executive Order 13818, which kicked everything off December 20th, 2017. Now, don't quote me on that exact date, because lots of people out there want specific dates, but it's really hard to tell on a lot of stuff. Because it's a military operation. And for the general public, we're just not in the need to know. I'm sorry that that's the way that is, and that's the way that the military works. This is some high-profile stuff, and it's very, very covert stuff to protect the people that are involved in it, because who we're dealing with. Right, this is a precedence in history for 4,000 years. I don't know of any time in history that this has actually been attempted to this level of taking down, you know, the deep state, the cabal, the 13 families, the Committee of 300. And then you got to look at like the World Economic Forum. Even the United Nations per se needs to be changed, which I have discovered on avalon.yale.edu there, that the United Nations is actually created out of California. Imagine that. So we really kind of got to pay attention, use quite a bit of discernment of who's who and who the bad guys are and who the good guys are. But I want to reiterate the fact that ultimately, folks, all political power is inherent in the people. And we have the right to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time we deem it necessary. The problem is we, the people, are not lawfully assembled. Lawfully, as in full of law. Not code, not legal, but lawful. Okay? So, the thing is that's what needs to happen. Because that truly, lawfully speaking, is the people, right? We talk about changing your status, and again, it's the people. All political power is inherent in the people. Why doesn't it say all political power is inherent in American state nationals? Why is there no mention of national anywhere? Ever. Not throughout history. You're not going to find it in the Law of Nations. You're not going to find it in the Declaration of Independence. You're not going to find it in any of the constitutions of any state anywhere. The Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 19, subsection 212, defines the citizen as a member of a civil society who is bound to perform specific duties and is subject to its authority. Gee, that sounds an awful lot like Article 6, Clause 3. It says the members, it uses the actual words members, and bound, shall be bound by oath or affirmation. It says all the aforementioned members, right? And everyone from the legislative, executive, and judicial, both state and federal, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. This Constitution is the Constitution. Now, I know there might be some qualms about this choice of words here, but it is the Constitution of or Constitution for. The preamble actually does state to create this Constitution for the United States of America. That the whole phrase, not United States, United States of America. So this is what needs to be said here in full, is the United States of America, Article 6, Clause 3. So they're supposed to be bound. Now this evokes two maxims of law. One, to know a thing and to be bound to know it are regarded in law as equivalent. Okay? So all the public servants, citizens, per the Law of Nations, what our founders wrote the Constitution from, and all of our basically history of law is, verbiage and everything was taken from the Law of Nations written by Emerdi Vattel. And then Section 213, that's Book 1, Chapter 19, Section 213, that one talks about inhabitants. And then inside inhabitants, under the definition of inhabitants, it talks about that there's a different kind of citizen. That would be, in our form of government, the people. So we have, in the Arles Confederation, all over, even in some of today's writings, we have inhabitants, we have the people, and we have citizens. So to clarify, the capital C as in proper noun, a persona, like we just read there in the Newsweek article, in proprior persona, in their proper person, that's a citizen, governor, lieutenant governor, president, representative, senator. Those are all the persons that are created per the Constitution. They don't exist outside of the Constitution. And all of those persons are to be bound by oath or affirmation to support the Constitution. Not the statutes, not the code, not anything else. Now, we the people created that instrument of government. That's that figment of our imagination. Government is a figment of our imagination. Okay? And some people will say that government is mind control. Absolutely. That is the instrument of government, to control the minds of the persons, of the man or woman who takes on that persona. Okay? They have to follow the dictates of the people. What we the people dictate the emoluments of that office is, what their scope and authority is. They are not at liberty to act outside the scope and authority delegated. That's called usurpation of power. It could also lead to maladministration, misfeasance, treason, sedition, seditious conspiracy, subversion of law, the law of its creation. So, that's law. Those are proper diction, proper words. And don't try to change any of those words that I've used, because those are proper words. Okay? From law itself. But again, reiterating, real citizens are the public servants, those elected officials. Okay? That's the capital C. Otherwise, we are the people, or an inhabitant. And in fact, inhabitant is probably the better term to use, other than regular inhabitants, the free inhabitants, okay? They don't have any political rights. They don't have any political power. Because they're not involved in it. It has nothing to do with them. They're free. They're just, it's like free-range cattle, free-range chickens, okay? They're free. Now, those that have some sort of an equitable interest, and I know this is a serious problem, a misunderstanding about who the people are, but for the most part, the people were the business owners, the ones that were doing business, paying the bills, right? That's what gives them the equitable interest, paying taxes. Otherwise, you're just an inhabitant. As remember, fundamentally and principally, really, government not only was instituted to secure these rights, but to secure the right to act in commerce and trade. That's really what government was initially instituted for. Was to ensure our right to act in commerce, trade, traffic. Because that's what the word traffic literally means. It's synonymous with commerce and trade. So that's the truth. That's the facts. Look it up on etymology. But that's what we were supposed to initially have government for. It's kind of gotten hijacked with the Reconstruction Acts and turned us back into a monarchy, stole our republic, and implemented the Roman civil law, which I wish my brother Rob was on here, because he had posted something not too long ago talking about clear back in, I think it was 1950, or no, pardon me, 1850. New York is the one that started this, implementing the Roman civil law. So I know where I have it documented for Idaho, which, of course, Idaho wasn't even created. The Organic Act for the territory of Idaho wasn't until 1864. But what I have discovered is that is in part probably right around 1845 when things started changing, which is what actually caused the Civil War. Sure, we're going to say that the Civil War was about slavery. Yeah, it was about enslaving us all. Not in the sense of, abolishing slavery. It was about enslaving us all. It was all a big, huge trick. Again, funded by the deep staters, the bankers, and, international banking cartel. Those 13 families, all of the deep state and all that stuff. It's part of their plan. It's been that way for a long time. All of these wars have all been bankers' wars. They've essentially funded both sides of it. And it's all just to entrap us, to enslave us. And, I talk about the Sestake Trust Act of 1666. And then, we get into around 1913 with the birth certificate. That's just kind of gives you a timeline of how long it took them to get from 1666 to 1913 to get this stuff implemented. And like I've said before, is these people play a serious generational long game. They pass this stuff on to generation to generation to generation to perpetuate the plan of world domination, world slavery, new world order, one world government. Been around for a long time. That plan's been around for a long, 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 long time. Roman Empire, Roman Catholic Church, Catholicism, where they rule over everybody and we're their subjects and subject to their authority. No. That's what the Magna Carta was about. Tired of that crap. Going clear back to 1215 with the Magna Carta. But they just keep on going and keep bringing it and keep harassing the people and killing people to get their ways and stop anybody who gets in their way. But we have to wake up, folks, to this reality. And like I covered, was it 2 weeks ago now? Or was it last week? The Declaration for the Cause and Necessity of Taking Up Arms. It may come to a point in time that we do have to take up arms and defend ourselves here in America. I want to remind people, we are the last standing nation, America, the nation, having arms to defend ourselves. And they've done a really good job at trying to curtail that right and infringe that right and to take away that right to keep and bear arms. But as I've shown from the Supreme Court rulings over the last couple of years, nope. They've been striking down unlawful, unconstitutional legislation for the last few years, specifically regarding the right to keep and bear arms. And again, this is the thing about why I went to Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England, because the Supreme Court of the United States of America cited from Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England. So If it's good enough for them to cite as a source of law, don't you think we ought to be reading that? Now, I did about 8 or 9 episodes of Monday nights, specifically going over Blackstone's commentaries on the law of England, and more specifically narrow it down to just those 3 primary absolute rights from the laws of nature. The right of personal security, the right of personal liberty. That's that right. Some people will call it right to travel. No. Stop calling it right to travel. It's right of personal liberty, which consists in the power of locomotion. That's the second primary absolute right. And then the third one, again, is private property. The right to acquire, possess, utilize our private property how we see fit. That's that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness that's in the Declaration of Independence. So, this is getting quite interesting. We're actually going back to the laws of nature. We're going back to common law and getting away from the Roman civil law, the code. Okay? Blackstone's commentaries on I found it in there. He breaks it down. It's in Bouvet's Law Dictionary, 1856. Okay? Look up law, civil. And what is it talking about? Roman civil law. That's what civil law is. And it says the code, which is opposed to the laws of nations, the laws of nature, and the common law. Imagine that. Because, as Blackstone says, it's a separate jurisdiction, a fundamental law. And he lays out the 3 primary fundamental laws. Roman civil law, the code, feudal law, and the common law. And the origin of the common law is from the Saxon, the Christian Protestants, which is maxims of law and customs. Now, customs, this is interesting. Customs, as Blackstone would refer to, as things like the Magna Carta or like a constitution. Those are our customs, also known as things like law of the land. And these 3 primary absolute rights, they cannot be deprived except by the consent of a jury, starting with a grand jury, and then or by the law of the land, which even Blackstone says in there, it is the common law of the land. We just leave the word common off of there. But law of the land literally means synonymous with due process of law. Yes, out here on Rumble, Shining Light. We in Canada don't have an independence. We have a corporation. Yes, you do, actually. Read the Honors Confederation. You're part of our nation called America. Absolutely. And again, law of nations, the laws of nature, and the common law most certainly applies. Okay? I mean, I've got a deal here on my old Facebook group, Kirk's Law Corner, where I originally started Kirk's Law Corner as a private group with just myself in there throwing the law in the corner. But I got some pictures that I took of this book that was down there at the Idaho Law Library at the time. And it was a celebration of the 200th anniversary of the Magna Carta. And there's an insert in there, a clip that talks about how the Magna Carta is for all English-speaking nations. Now, last time I checked, and I just actually talked to a Canadian yesterday. He was right here in my driveway, worked on his brakes. A man down there in Yuma, hauling his huge fifth-wheel trailer, forgot to adjust his trailer brake. And when he come through Ely there on the other side of the mountains there, burn up his front brakes. back brakes, they made it through. They made it okay. The front pads were cooked. It didn't warp the rotors, but anyways, yeah, had him right here in my driveway and tore apart his brakes on his Dodge 3500. It's a 1-ton, and ended up taking that all apart there and putting some new pads in there and doing some deglaze on the rotors. But yeah, speaks English just like the rest of us. So there's a good little tip for you there, shining light there, and you Canadians up there. Our brethren from the north. That's what it says in the Ars Confederation. So, again, this is supposed to be for all English-speaking nations, and we want to talk about a one world government. Let's just go with the law of nations and the laws of nature and the common law. Because that kicks the frickin' Roman Catholic Church and Catholicism to the curb, and we go with Christianity as an ideology, which fundamentally and principally simply just means do no harm. That's in the law of nations. In the preliminaries, talking about the laws of nature. So, we need to learn this stuff, folks. We need to learn the laws of nature. We need to learn what our rights are, where they come from. Natural rights comes from God, not from the king. See, under Roman civil law, they're civil rights. More like privileges. Read that 14th Amendment again. Doesn't say anything about rights. It says privileges or immunities. Where does it say rights? Not only that, the 14th Amendment wasn't properly done, wasn't actually, was declined by sufficient enough states to shut it down to begin with. But it was all de facto at that particular point in time anyways. Essentially, everything went de facto since essentially 1863. It was all de facto from there. But again, even the law of nations says this, that it's up to the people, the sovereign body politic. So we have sovereign people, not sovereign citizens. See, this is how we debunk the CIA deep state operative. Oh, you think you're sovereign? You think you're above the law? First of all, what is the law? Well, they've been all taught, brainwashed, and indoctrinated, just like most of us, that the code is the law. Because that's what the legislature makes, right? No, it's all made up by the bar. But no, common law is the real law. Laws of nature are the real law. Maxims of law is the real law. That's the rule of law. It rules over. Again, it's like mathematics. You know, you got the plus sign, the minus sign, the multiplication sign, the division sign. Those are fundamental principles of mathematics. It's the rules of mathematics. It rules over all other feelings or opinions, which is why 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 minus 2 equals 0. 2 times 2 equals 4. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Because the rule of mathematics dictates the correct answer every time, regardless of my opinion, how I feel about it. It doesn't matter. This is logic and reason, right? And this is how we tell if a man is of sound mind or not. Because of logic and reason. When we learn the fundamental principles, the rule of law, which are, when we're talking about law, that's maxims of law. Like what I cannot do in my person, I cannot do through the agency of another. Or what a man does in his defense is to be considered legal. Huh. What a novel concept, because of the laws of nature dictates that right of personal security, the right of self-defense, the right of self-determination, the right of conscience, the right to self-determination. We get to determine for ourselves. Even in Blackstone's lays out even our own health. That's right. That's that liberty of conscience, the right of self-determination, right to think for ourselves. Okay? We get to secure our own happiness. We get to secure our own health. Whatever we choose, no man has any authority over us to dictate to us that we have to take anything. Not even a doctor. Those are recommendations. Right? When's the last time you went and seen a doctor and you had to take whatever the doctor prescribed to you? Always had a choice. That's part of that free exercise of religion, that liberty of conscience. It's in the Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776. According to the internal dictates of conscience. Religion is about conscience, what we think. That's an individual right. The right of every man. Even in Blackstone, talks about that as from nature, once he is born, from birth. As a fundamental, I hate saying it, birthright, because we were born, not birthed like a ship. But again, we have to learn this. Right? Back to ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's that other maxim of law. We cannot claim that we don't know this. I mean, we can say that we don't know something, that we don't know, but can't use it as an excuse. Now, we could sit here and discuss how we've all been brainwashed and indoctrinated. They've hijacked our educational system. Yep, absolutely. Totally agree. Well aware of it. Why I'm here right now. My compassion for my fellow man, and why I'm here is because I feel like I've been led here. I've been led to do this. If anybody out there thinks that this is super easy to do, where are you at on doing it? It's not easy as you think. I can tell you right now, prior to all of this, I was kind of a shy, quiet kind of guy. I mean, unless you pissed me off, poke the bear. But other than that, I didn't like public speaking, didn't like speaking in front of groups of people. Most certainly didn't like coming and doing live videos or anything like that. Right, and it's not cheap. Let me tell you. I have to thank everybody who has supported me along the way here, even those that I may not be working with any longer. I still thank you, and I still remember who you were or who you are to me, and regardless of any kind of a falling out that we had. Ones that directly supported, especially financially, but there's a couple people that really helped with paperwork and stuff, getting Kirk's Law Corner LLC done. Miles, he does the website there. I thank him for his efforts and paying for whatever it takes to keep that sucker up and going. I want to thank everybody on Patreon, Wednesday night workshops that help support the one-on-ones. Without you folks, I'd be having a hard time surviving, doing what I'm doing right now. I can tell you right now, I live way below the poverty level. Way below. I am not getting rich from any of this. I can promise you that. I am not a what's so-called patriot. Nobody's paying me on the backside. I can tell you that right now. I basically survive on donations. Everything that comes in is either through Patreon, which actually just covers the office and the internet at the office, and some of the broadcasting software that I use right now. It's $45 every 3 months. Zoom, $15 a month. Office is $1,000 a month. Internet actually for the office just jumped up because I'm at the end of the 3-year contract, so it's up to $149 a month for internet at the office because it's business internet. Thank you, brother Diesel D's. And who is this one? It's cheaper than paying for. Oh, it's Hoosier Back Eye. It's cheaper than paying for indoctrinated education. Yeah. Well, unless you. I didn't want to use your name, Wendy, but being you used it, I guess it's okay. So thank you, Wendy. Yes, it's. I just seen even a video out there with. Was it Charlie Kirk? He was doing a thing at the college there, and he's talking to these college kids about how they're paying for the schooling there, and it does them absolutely no good. We're seeing this stuff coming out now where parents, are saying, here's my sweet innocent daughter at 18. 2 years later, socially engineered through college. In 2 years, they just turn into this crazy, indoctrinated people, brainwashed. It's almost could even be considered MK Ultra. That critical race theory. They're taught to hate their own kind. More specifically, just white people, right? It's crazy what our society. It's been done on purpose. We go back to reading Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals, and the 8 different points in there how to take down a government from within. And one of the things is to take over the education. Destroy the family unit, and that's in part what that's all doing. And now they're doing it clear into, as far as I know, clear down to even kindergarten now. They're trying to teach all this sexual immorality. And it's coming to a point, folks. It's time to take a stand. You got to pick a side. Quit the divide. I mean, there's going to be a divide. Good and evil. Back to Bouvet's Law Dictionary, 1856. Laws of nature. The very first primitive law of nature is when man is properly organized, he knows the difference between moral good and moral evil. This is straight up. Do you know the difference between good and evil? Are you of sound mind? Do you possess logic and reason? Are you able to come to a reasonable conclusion based in reality? Like, there are 2 sexes. There's no such thing as genders. You have man and you have man with womb, womb man, or male and female. Why does it have the word male in female? You have male and fertilizable male. Fertile male. And it's man and man with womb. Womb man. W-O-M-B. Take the M-B off and you got womb man. That's where womb man comes from. I don't know why people are having such a hard time. Well, sarcasm here. I don't know why people are having a hard time defining what a woman is. I guess Everybody wants to be politically correct. I could care less. We're talking about the laws of nature here. I could care less about being politically correct when it comes to words and what God created. God created mankind in his image. What kind of man are you? Are you man or man with a womb? One of my old going jokes is, if you're having a hard time, pull your pants down and take a look. There's only two kinds of thingies that hang out down there. And, some of these little kids out there, even 4 and 5 years old, they get it. I've seen a couple of videos out there with some pretty smart little kids. So it's all about what they're being taught, what they're being brainwashed and indoctrinated to believe. And I feel bad for mothers and fathers out there today because, well, go back like 15, 20 years now, when this stuff really started kicking off. No idea what was going on in the schools, right? It's gotten to a point where both the father and the mother have got to work to support the household. And then it's even gotten way worse than that, is, again, back to destroying the family unit. Trying to drive people to the point where they'll commit suicide. I mean, that's all part of that Saul Alinsky's plan, is to destroy the family unit. So, something that's kind of on my mind is trying to find some way that we can really rise up together and bring unity. And, I was thinking about flooding the DOJ with complaints. Now, I've got a pile of blank DOJ civil rights forms that somebody had given me a while back, and I'm like, no. But I'm thinking, I think we should try whatever we can. And I'm thinking we could get the word out that we could just flood the DOJ with civil rights violation complaints. Now, for those of you that have watched my educational series, one of the things I teach in there is lawful notification letters. Thank you, Tony Pellegrino, who informed me of that kind of stuff way back. Okay? Back when I was with Lee Arthur Rice and Tony Pellegrino there at American Common Law Academy. I've learned a few things from Tony Pellegrino. Tony's out there busting his ass trying to help people that he can help there out of California. He ended up moving back to California. I had things set up for him to come back here to Idaho, but he's going where he feels he's being led to go. So, but that's where we're at. So I'm seriously thinking about putting in a special one together, special video. Maybe just do a Monday Night Law next week on it, dedicate it to just that. I think I should do a little bit of promoting, put something out, and have you folks share it all over the place, right? Needs to be shared wide and get as many people on this, and again, bring unity, and let's flood the DOJ with civil rights complaints. Now, they're not a whole lot different, essentially, than a criminal complaint, other than criminal's criminal, and the DOJ civil rights violations is essentially criminal for them, but they still want to claim it's civil. But a Title 42, 1983 is what we would consider civil rights violations. But, once we go back to the common law way of things, suits at common law can be criminal in nature or civil in nature. We wouldn't have the code. Everybody grasps the concept of, I've been using boxes, jurisdiction boxes. Okay, so we have Roman civil law in this one box over here. Then we've got feudal law in this box. Then we've got common law in this box. And what they've done is they've taken our common law box, our common law jurisdiction, set that over here to the side, and then brought in the Roman civil law, the code, which, in essence, the code throws everything out. It doesn't matter. Constitution, you're right. This is where we get into what I've called, right out of Black's Law Dictionary, kangaroo courts. Okay? Kangaroo courts are those courts that don't recognize rights. Oh, gee, Roman civil law, civil rights are privileges. Back to the 14th Amendment garbage, Roman civil law crap. They're not rights, they're privileges. It doesn't recognize the laws of nature. That we don't have God-given natural rights. We have privileges granted to us by the king. And they can be revoked at any time they feel like it. And they can trample on those civil privileges whenever they feel like it, because they're just privileges. They're not rights. They're not law. Back to that French word droit, meaning right or law. See, rights are supposed to be the law. At least under common law, under laws of nature, under the laws of nations. But under Roman civil law, again, different box, different jurisdiction, different words, okay? Totally different. It's a different ideology. Roman civil law is under the ideology of Catholicism. Common law, maxims of law, that's under the ideology of Christianity. A different form, even a different form of government. Fundamentally, that's fundamental law. So, this is what's been hijacked and replaced with the Roman civil law again. Throughout history, this has happened over and over and over and over again. So, yeah, this is what's going on, what's been going on. Even Bouvet's Law Dictionary lays it out. Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law lays it out. Same thing, okay? Excuse me. So, I've discovered this, okay, by reading, because reading means reading. No. Diesel D's, this is a major confusion here, folks. Is Roman civil law the same jurisdiction as admiralty? No. Nope, no. Roman civil law is a fundamental law. Technically speaking, admiralty jurisdiction is a territorial, a place having to do with military and out on the water. See, it's admiralty jurisdiction and maritime law. The law of the water. And it's supposed to be commerce and trade. Yes, absolutely. Here on Rumble, Shining Light. So through assemblies we get common law back, correct? Yes. Absolutely. That's the thing. All political power is inherent in the people. Law of Nations. What's that? Book 1, Chapter 3. No. Is it not? No, it's Book 1. Book 1, Chapter 1, Section 3. The very beginning talks about the people being the sovereign body politic. So we get to lay down the law. Well, technically speaking, our republic, when it was created, America, the nation, Christianity was declared as our ideology. Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776. So, all we have to do is we, the people, we got to come together. Okay? And it's like building an engine. We have to reassemble the engine. It's not going to run if it's not built properly. It's not going to function correctly if it's not timed correctly, if things aren't put together and working in concert with one another and connecting with one another. And in our form of government, that was our republic, our Republican form of government that was created, it's a well-oiled machine. And it the way it's designed is it takes all three branches working together with the people. That's the key to all of it. The key. Start your car, you got to have a key. The people are the key. The people are the builders. We have to build, literally assemble, build the machine, build the engine. And the way we get to build it depends on how it runs. It's like what we have out here, cars now, automobiles and stuff. Okay? How come one car might be faster than another? Because the way it's built. Some of it seriously depends on the parts that are put into the engine. When you build them up, they have more horsepower and more pound-feet of torque. Some of them are a lot more durable than others. So, throughout history, this has been a fight to get away from the Roman Catholic Church Catholicism as an ideology, a form of government, and switch over to Christianity, where man is to be free as God intended us, to have that free will, freedom, free dominion over the land, the air, and the water. This is part of something that blows my mind is, how does anybody actually say that they own the land when God created the land? We can take dominion over a certain section of the land and in essence own that particular area for that time being. But if you didn't create it, how are you going to say you can own it? And it already pre-exists mankind. So we can't say that any man or set of men owns the land under any kind of gibberish like, the right of discovery. You don't get to own the land because you didn't create it. Just because you found it, or you say you found it, doesn't mean you get to own it and then sell it to other people. No, I don't think so. Now, I think if somebody claims a certain section of a land and sets up shop and builds a home on it, they're building equity in the land or on the land, they have a right to defend that. But then everybody else has that same equal right. Because we're all equal. We were all created equal. So how is it that only certain people can do that? Certain men or women can do that? But there's that ideology change between Catholicism and Christianity, where you're under the king's thumb and under the king's rule, Or over here under Christianity, where you're free to go do whatever the heck you want to do, just so long as you do not cause harm to your fellow man. And if you do, then there's a right to a cause of action. That creates the standing for that man to have a cause of action against the man who caused the injury, the harm. It's really just that simple. To be honest, common law is super simple. It's ruthless. It definitely ensures justice. For damn sure, it's black and white, folks. Either you did or you did not trespass the law. And the law being rights as the law. Not some legislation that says, oh, well, the legislature made this up and said that that's a crime, and here's the punishment for that. All while they're enriching themselves, right? Because ask yourself this question. Who gets the fine money? Does the injured party, the alleged victim, get that money? Then it's a bill of attainder, bills of pains and penalties. They're enriching themselves. No, I got to correct you out here on Rumble, Rising Fawn. No, the definition of a woman is womb man, man with womb. It's in the word itself. Man carries the seed, woman carries the egg. That's just nature. The way God intended, the way God created us. So, it's up to us, mankind, to come together, reassemble the engine, government de jure, lawful government. And it may come down to a civil or revolutionary war again. But it is what has to happen, right? Either that or we live in tyranny and under despotism. I get it, Diesel D's. His comment here is he's confused when you go to traffic court. They have that gold-fringed flag, okay, which I understand to belong to Admiralty Maritime Law jurisdiction, yet Roman civil law is being applied bills of attainder. So essentially, that gold-fringed flag actually literally means captured nation. Who we captured by? The Roman Catholic Church. Back to a monarchy, imposing the Roman civil law, the code. Now some will say, oh, well, the gold fringe means that's a military flag. No, the red, white, and blue is the military flag. The red, white, and white, the one that's right here on the back of my chair, the civil peace flag, that's the true American flag. The red, white with the blue field indicates water. That's the war flag. But see, this is all part of the trickery, thinking that this is all under Admiralty jurisdiction. Yeah, it's technically speaking, it is military force, right? They declared martial law in 1863, or technically speaking, 1861. The Lieber Code, the General Order, First Executive Order 100. And basically, again, hijacked our form of government, our republic, stripped the people of their powers, and turned us back into a monarchy, and then ushered in the Roman civil law, the code. I know it's quite confusing because I was there once, and I finally saw through the bullshit about that gold fringed flag, the Jolly Roger, the fake flag. And I can give a rat's ass what the United States Code says, or any kind of a law of war manual or anything like that. The Uniform Code of Military Justice. Why don't we just go by the law of nations? It's already written out. Don't need the Uniform Code of Military Justice. We don't need the Law of War Manual. Again, that's all shit made up by unelected bureaucrats. Now, I get that it's being used, and for the most part, I do believe that it's being used for the betterment, for the good of society, for the whole world. But in comparing things, why not just read the law of nations? Why not just follow the law of nations? Because I can tell you right now, most people don't even know that the code is Roman civil law. So that's a whole different foreign jurisdiction. That's what they were talking about in the Declaration of Independence. Subjecting us to a jurisdiction, a body of law, Roman civil law. Foreign to our form of government, unacknowledged by our law, and being subjected to pretended acts of legislation. So, that's what we're actually talking about here. Well, again, it's really is the Admiralty maritime body of law practiced at military tribunals. Again, it's more of a territorial jurisdiction, a place, not a body of law like Roman civil law, like common law, like feudal law as a fundamental law. It's Admiralty is military, okay, and it's a place. And not a body of law per se. Yeah, it's the use of military force on the land, but that is what's being used. Military tribunals, Guantanamo Bay. You know, we're back to doing what needs to be done. Like I said, hopefully that this is all being done with a good purpose, a good motive, and everything that I've been following and made aware of and been a part of. Going back to 2017, starting in 2017 for me, what I can tell, yes, it is. And there's going to come a time here very soon that this crap is going to get shut down. Now, you really, 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 really want to get this stuff shut down, let's get on board with what I was just talking about. Let's flood the DOJ with civil rights complaints. And I mean flood. I want to see 1 million civil rights complaints within a month. Who's up for the task? Can't do it by myself. How long has this been going on? I'm just looking over here. Well, I can tell you, if we're talking about the corruption, 4,000 years. Yeah, Diesel D's, that's very, very, very possible that they're conducting tribunals aboard U.S. Navy vessels. Remember the Comfort and the Mercy? Remember when Trump said that was not being used for COVID purposes? Good question, Art. Good to see you, brother Art. Why aren't we prosecuting police officers for simulation of judicial process when they can't deal in probable cause? Well, you need to change your verbiage, for one. Number two, the fact is they've hijacked our form of government. We, the people, no longer have common law courts where we file suits at common law against the public servants. Because, see, the people are supposed to have all the power. We're the ones that are supposed to prosecute the public servants. Remember, they're the servants, we're the masters. Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776. The magistrates are our trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to the people. So, again, where's the people? But again, what I've been trying to teach for the last 7 years now, holy crap. The right of petition the legislature for the redress of grievances. Okay? And God rest his soul, Christopher Hallett, who I teamed up with in the beginning of all that. Of all this, how it all got started. Going to Congress, challenging the bars of monopoly, and you cannot license the practice of law. How E-Clause got created by the consent of Congress, October 25th, 2017. I know. There's a lot of people who've been subjected to the same stuff, folks. It's the same thing everywhere. Damn near worldwide. Whether you're in England or you're in Australia, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in America, it doesn't matter. Roman civil law is Roman civil law, the code. That's just what it is. It's an ideology. Catholicism. We're the slaves and they're the masters. In our republic here in America, we're the masters and they're the servants. Now, see, there's the difference in word, jurisdiction here, diction. What's the difference between a slave and a servant? The difference is one gets paid and the other one does not. And the servant here in America chooses to be there. They run for that office, or they apply for that position, for the emoluments of that office. Under the king, we're subjects or slaves. We don't have rights. We have privileges. Oh, Jackshot, you have no frickin' idea what you're talking about here on Rumble. You can only petition a de facto government with weapons. No. Our right to petition goes clear back to the Magna Carta, dude. It's the first right. Right? The right to petition the government for the redress of grievances. Article the 1st comes before the Second Amendment. And if you read through history, it says we have petitioned, we have remonstrated, only to be met with repeated injuries. Declaration of Independence. Right? Cannot claim that we're under absolute despotism unless you're following due process of law. You got to claim and exercise your right. We have to follow due process of law, or we're just as guilty as they are. Well, they're violating my right to due process of law. Well, then why aren't you following due process of law? Plain and simple. Because we're under a continuity of government. We're under military control. They're under a military operation. It's not as de facto as you think it is. It's only de facto right now because the people haven't reassembled government de jure. But make no mistake, we're under a continuity of government. And there's been lots of things that have happened by and through doing petitions. For those of us that have been involved in doing them and have seen the outcome. Like, abolishing the entire family court in Ector County, Texas. Bulk transfer of over 1,250 cases to the district court scheduled for dismissal. Don't tell me that claiming and exercising the right of petition doesn't work. Because it does. I've experienced it. I'm not talking out my ass here. I talk from experience, knowledge, wisdom. You know, that's the difference between me and most everybody else out there, folks. I've actually been involved in doing this stuff. It's already happened. It's already been done. Okay? And I'm about to drop a serious petition on the Congress. What does Article 4, Section 4 read? As it is written. On application of the legislature or the executive, if the legislature cannot be convened for domestic violence, internal insurrection. Okay? Yeah, domestic violence is about internal insurrection, an attempt to overthrow the government, overthrow the Constitution, the laws of its creation, and war against the people. That's domestic violence. Stop buying the bullshit shit made up by the bar from the Violence Against Women and Children Act of 1995, which was U.S. versus Morrison in 2000. Parts of it was declared to be unconstitutional. Unlawful and unconstitutional in 2000. And then they did a reauthorization act. But wait a minute. Does Congress have the authority to redefine any part of the Constitution when they so choose? No. The answer is no. They don't have that authority to redefine what domestic violence is pursuant to Article 4, Section 4. But that's trickery. And in fact, the actual Violence Against Women Act of 1995 is in fact domestic violence. That's the Destroy the Family Unit from Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals being implemented. That's just one little piece of legislation. Do they have the authority to create due process of law? No. There's a Supreme Court case out there that's on law.cornell.edu that says it was manifest, it was not left to the legislative branch to make any process due process of law. Due process of law comes from what? The common law, or the law of the land. Oh, how about that? It doesn't come from any enactment of the legislature, because due process of law pre-exists government. It pre-exists the Constitution, the government. The Constitution is the government. So, again, reading means reading. Studying means studying. You got to learn this stuff. Warhorse for Liberty. Have I heard of committees of safety? Yes. They follow common law and reference all the same books you do. I'm wondering if both groups could come together and get real numbers going to attain the same goals. The problem is we have to reassemble. All of these committees are supposed to be done by the people. See, in our true Republican form of government, it's of the people, by the people, for the people. All of it. Except for those that we create by Constitution, the actual physical instrument of government. It is a contract of employment, or as our founders called it, a social compact or contract, per the Founding Fathers in the Federalist Papers and all over. They called it a contract as well as a compact. It's a contract of employment. Okay, and those are the terms and conditions of the contract of employment. If you want to run for president, guess what? There's certain qualifications you got to meet. You got to be 35 years of age. You have to have had some other form of service prior to. All those little elements. Same thing with like a senator or a representative. You're supposed to have owned land. Because that's supposed to be the collateral. This bond crap is garbage. More shit made up by the bar through Roman civil law. How do we reach out to the who? I have no idea who you're talking about. Yeah, here's another thing. I'll challenge any man out there. Bring the law. Cite the law. Remedy, due process of law. Remedy is the process, the steps to be taken to get the relief that we seek. I am all about following the law. Real law. Not the code, not shit made up statutes, but what the actual letter of the law says as it is written. Like law of nature, law of nations, common law. See, the all three of those have the word law to it. Real law. So, yeah, anybody out there thinks they've got some sort of remedy and relief and has actually taken that action, followed those steps that you preach, bring the law, bring your paperwork. Let's talk. You know, I've put this out there before. And there's certain people out there that talk a good talk, but can't bring anything to the table when it comes time to do a sit-down round table discussion and show your cards. You know, show and tell here. We're talking about colors now. Okay. So let's go through the colors of ink. Talking about purple and all that stuff. Okay. So purple signifies royalty. Red signifies of the living, blood. Blue signifies contract from a man. Black signifies the dead, contract. So that's your color coding. Now, here in America, under our true Republican form of government, there shouldn't be any purple. Because the laws of nature dictate that all men are created free and equal and independent. We don't believe in titles of nobility here. We don't follow Catholicism as an ideology. We follow are supposed to follow Christianity as an ideology, where all men are created free, equal, independent, and have free dominion over the land, the air, and the water. We're supposed to be able to come and go as we please, so long as we don't cause harm to our fellow man. It's none of anybody else's business. Hale versus Hinckley even reiterates this, that we have no duty to the state to open up our books and papers on suit of the state. We have no duty to open our books and papers to our neighbor or the state. We're in the private. So, you know, that's the thing here is we're not supposed to have that kind of stuff in our form of government. But see, again, it's all been hijacked. It's all been turned back in under the monarchy. Altering the fundamental law. They kicking the law of nations, laws of nature, and common law to the curb, boxing it up and shoving it off over there in the corner, and brought in this new box called Roman civil law, the code. That's what we're being subjected to as a fundamental law, which again, it affects the whole form of government. It's a whole jurisdiction, a body of law that encompasses how the government functions. No. There's not only one way to deal with crooks and pirates. No. If you think that there's only one way, why haven't you done it? What are you waiting for? Well, again, Workhorse for Liberty over here on Telegram. You've sent them the information, you've talked to them, and I think we need somebody like Kirk or Destry to drop their drop their egos and reach out to their group. The problem is they're the ones with the egos, and they think that what they're doing is all legitimate, and there's no getting them to come over and listen to something that's lawful and reassemble what needs to be done. And then you bring in the state national garbage. Well, I'm an American state national. And you ask them to define it. You ask them to cite the law where that comes from. And they just they're just dumbfounded. It's like, what do you mean? It's like we're just supposed to just believe them because they say so? They don't even know. Here we go again. Being brainwashed and indoctrinated by a very select few people, and nobody asks the question, where's the law that says this? Can you cite the law? Can you show me the law? Like I do? Law of Nations, Book 1, Chapter 19, subsection 212. See how I cite law? Can you cite the law for American State National? That's part of the problem. Is you got these little factions out there that think they know what they're doing, and they don't. They get one sliver piece of information that's more than likely absolutely, when you're talking about committees, committee of safety, absolutely correct. But see, committees are under that part of that assembly, the common law side of our republic. We have to have this assembled up here first. We have to have the people together in order for the people to peaceably assemble the committees. It's like I'm going to put the pistons in the block, but you don't have the block. Where are you going to put the pistons? Well, these are beautiful pistons. They're domed, high, camel hump pistons, and high compression pistons. High speed, the engine will run really good. Yeah, absolutely. But where's the block to put it in? If you don't have the block, the core built, have that there, you can't put the pistons in there. You can't have committees of safety without the core. You got to have the core of the people first. And that has to be lawfully assembled. And then you can have committees. I mean, who in the hell are they? No, I get that you are Warhorse. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be trying, right? Trying to, I feel your angst because I'm kind of the same place. It's like, I don't know what else to do, dude. I have reached out to people here in Idaho, and this is, Tony Pellegrino and I, we know this. We've talked about this. People in Idaho do not want to unite. Not when it comes to doing the right thing, the lawful thing, in accordance with the letter of the law. They just do not want to do it. Excuse me. They would much rather fight amongst themselves, stand around, bitch and complain about how corrupt things are, rather doing the right thing, the lawful thing. Dang. Excuse me, folks. This is not good. Jackshot again. The people have to assemble the militia. Well, considering the militia is composed of the body of the people themselves, you got to have the people assembled first. What is so hard about grasping this concept of the core, the block of an engine? You got to have that first before you can build or assemble anything else. The people, mankind, have to come together to create the sovereign body politic known as the people. Okay? Part of becoming the status as one of the people is you have to pledge your life, your fortunes, and your sacred honor. You have to have a covenant with God. That's what I meant by lawfully assembled. There's certain paperwork that has to be done. That's the paperwork that changes your status to one of the people. This is part of the stuff that Chris and I was teaching was, hey, get a business license. I don't know, like Kirk's Law Corner LLC. Become a taxpayer. That's what makes you one of the people, because now I have an equitable interest because I'm paying for the bills. I'm also an Idaho notary public. Okay? That's an emolument. Says right on my license, both of them, issued by the Secretary of State. Okay? It says under my license, my notary license, is I've received all of the rights and emoluments of a notary public. Kind of makes me one of the people of the territory of Idaho. This is where they're getting all confused out there about changing your status. They want to deal with fraud and play around with the fraud, and which is why they're all confused. And what they're really is going on is they're being roped back in because, see, the United States Inc., involuntary bankruptcy, see, it's being taken down. So the plot and the plan, which I've seen through the plot and the plan now, is they're trying to get all these people back in, because where does national come from? It comes from the United States Code, the Roman civil law. Because it didn't come into existence, into being, was not created as a noun, national, as a status, until 1878. Think long and hard, for as long as you need, to comprehend that national is not part of our American Republic. So they're trying to drag people back in, basically a back door, so they can take back control again. It's almost like a repeat of history. Duh. But nobody asks, well, where in the law does that come from? Can you cite the law? Doesn't come from the law of nations. Doesn't come from Declaration of Independence. It doesn't come from any of the constitutions. It doesn't come from the Articles of Confederation. No. National is nowhere in the law of nations. Not unless it's been edited. But, again, I'll challenge any man to bring forth, cite the law. Again, national did not come into existence as a noun, a status, until 1878. Go look it up. Etymology online. Origin of words, national, as a noun, 1878. When was the Law of Nations written by Emerdi Vattel? Long before 1878. Before 1776. So, no, national is not a status that you will find in the Law of Nations written by Emerdi Vattel, because it didn't exist. We have inhabitants, we have the people, and we have citizens, which are the public servants. Those are the three statuses that you will find in all of the historical documents for America. From Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776, to, the Virginia Constitution, June 29, 1776. That's the first Constitution that lays out our three distinct branches of government, our true Republican form of government. That's the original Constitution, June 29th, 1776. Then the Declaration of Independence. Now, the Lee's Resolution. What was it? June 3rd? June 3rd, 1776. I think it was June 3rd. June 3rd, June 5th. So, all of this goes together. And this is in episode 1 of my educational series. I've showed the documents. And the fact is these documents are in my Annals of America book. Why? Why just those? Watch episode 1 in my educational series. I explain all of this. The history of law of America. Okay? Going all the way back to the first charter of Virginia, 1606. The second charter of Virginia, 1609. The third charter of Virginia, 1611, 1612. Long before the Mayflower Compact, which, if you take the time to read the Mayflower Compact, it says, hey, we're settling in the northern parts of Virginia. That's right, because Virginia was a very large territorial mass back in the day. And it didn't get subdivided into individual states until after the Articles of Confederation. Or technically speaking, at the time of the Articles of Confederation. What was it? Seven states of those colonies were not independent sovereign nation states until Virginia ceded the land. They had to have their own constitution. Period. No, sorry. Out here on Rumble, Poodle Pearl, 1852. For Law of Nations? No, that would be incorrect. Law of Nations was written by Emerdi Vattel long before 1852. You're talking about an edited version by somebody else long after Emerdi Vattel died. Trickery, again. Gotta love people who just don't know what the hell they're talking about. But, anywho. Alright, folks. Have a wonderful night. And we will catch you on the flip side. See you Wednesday night there for Wednesday night workshop for those of you in Patreon. And Thursday night for the National Assembly call. All right. Have a wonderful night, folks. And thank you all for being here. And get ready. I'm going to put something out for possibly next Monday night. To do this. Let's get as many people as we can to do the DOJ civil rights violation forms. Let's fill them out. Let's bombard them. Let's let them know that we, the people, are tired of our rights being violated. They need to hear from us in mass numbers. Okay? All right, folks. Have a wonderful night. God bless, and we will see you all next week or Wednesday night for those in Patreon.